There's lots of ways to spend money in Atlantic City. I reserve mine for bagel breakfasts at out-of-the-way counter joints, as well as walking the boardwalk, people watching, etc.
It is actually a building.
Just down the island in Margate City, there's Lucy the Elephant, America's original roadside attraction. My teenager didn't want to save $1 on admission to this eccentric lodge, so we just took a look at it and then took up residence on the beach nearby.
Made it! Oh, I'm not looking forward to carrying this red thing around. Way too much beach gear on this trip. This Otis elevator from the late 60s is an absolute beast.
Outside your breath. Otis.
So cool. And then it'll be right in front of this fancy historic hotel. And you have the rail passengers direct bus service to train station arrivals and departures. So all those buses you see when you get to the station, those are free. They are part of the New Jersey Transit network. I don't know whether Atlantic City's paying for them or the state, and this is the closest one to where we were staying. We were staying over yonder.
Atlantic City has plenty of history in long abandoned hotels and open but not fully occupied status. It's all very haunting in an intriguing way to me. The jitneys are the supreme local transit of this town. $1 per person per ride unless you pick it up at the designated casino stops and ride to the train station. People I overheard earlier in town refer to the New Jersey Transit train station as the Amtrak station, probably because its opposite endpoint in Philly is Amtrak's 30th Street station, but Amtrak did formerly occupy this spacious station in the late 1980s through 1995. Alongside New Jersey Transit trains across South Jersey, Amtrak routed select Northeast Corridor trains to and from Atlantic City in an effort to drive ridership and tourism. We do get to say goodbye again to Atlantic City from the utility comfort of a comic car. These coaches are legends of East Coast transit, and NJT doesn't keep them appointed too fancily. Just a seat, with a covering that seems both dated and consisting of new material. Our itinerary for this morning's commuter rail trip to Philly will see us alighting at Lindenwold station to transfer to the unsung hero subway service of the East Coast, the PATCO Speedline. With the transfer, it's a couple dollars and change cheaper than a full ride on the Atlantic City line to 30th Street station with no transfers. A convenience of a one-seat scenario, it seems, for the price. For the 4+ decades they've run the Comets, they don't ride great, but it's an easier saddle to bear than an NJT bus going down Atlantic Avenue. It typically runs every couple hours off-peak and is mostly single-track, with a siding where we'll pause to let an inbound train move around us. If you're leaving New Jersey, NJT considers you an outbound rider, even though you're going inbound to Philly. It takes almost 90 minutes for this train to make its entire run, but freight traffic at the Delaware Bridge and passenger rail activity at Shore Interlocking as the train enters the Northeast Corridor can sometimes draw that out even longer. It's NJT's only commuter rail line in South Jersey, formerly a joint operation of the Pennsy and Reading railroads, serving the same purpose nearly 100 years ago as NJT does today. A major rehabilitation of this line took place in the 1980s, and signal upgrades came within the past decade of our 2026 visit. The line runs with diesel locomotives, but has connections not only to PATCO, but New Jersey Transit's River Line light rail as well. 3 different lines serving the same region, one where state lines divide residents, but an obvious gravity toward Philly is evident. The ride is nothing special, no features on board our car, but I do believe one car further up the consist should have a restroom. It's not signed so obviously, but at just over an hour, it's not the kind of train that tests those limits. We do get into highway speeds for a lot of the run. Besides some classic Jersey towns, there's mostly tree rows, after exiting the wetlands after Atlantic City. A disarming ride whose main purpose is to get you to your next connection, or back home for commuters. Nothing so scenic as to fall in love with this route subjectively. But once we approach Lindenwold station, we have to pack up our unwieldy bag, backpacks, and our wits to get out of the NJT part of the station and into the PATCO head house, where we'll buy into a ride with the Port Authority via their PATCO Freedom Card system. Around a few dollars gets you a ride on the whole 14 miles across several historic rights-of-way, all with the purpose being served that is a degree more local than our initial ride aboard NJT's heavy rail. The rail cars used on this rapid transit line are its second generation. These were built by Vickers Canada, entering service in 1980, and were recently refurbished by Alstom in the past decade. The propulsion systems as well as the interiors of the cars were modernized. PATCO isn't a household name among metro systems outside of Philly. I'm not sure if 1% of Midwestern folks where I'm from could place it on a map. But it serves an important role connecting Philly's suburbs on the South Jersey side around Camden to America's Revolution period capital city. PATCO is one of a handful of American transit systems operating as an automated system by a central control center presently near downtown Camden, but there are plans to relocate the control facility to Lindenwold, from where our trip today continues. A pulse code cab signaling system commands rail cars to operate at various speeds or stop along the line with transponders located trackside at stations to automate station stops, along with normal block presence of train systems. Trains can operate as fast as 75 miles per hour, but are limited to 65 in current operation, hence the high speed line moniker. The line was developed as a post-war plan to expand municipal public transit. The right-of-way over which we're traveling was historically served by passenger rail companies as a service ending in downtown Camden that delivered passengers to a ferry service to cross the Delaware River into Philly. But the opening of the Ben Franklin Bridge in 1926 brought about the idea to use the outboard structural elements of the bridge to host an interstate rapid transit line. But the line wouldn't be built out to Lindenwold until the late 1960s, after an expansion based on 2 decades of planning developed the line we're on today to serve suburban Jersey communities that had become part of Philly's post-war development boom. But much the same as Cleveland's rapid system, these designs came at the tail end of passenger rail's dominant period as a way for commuters to get from bedroom communities to their big city jobs. Industries dwindled through the latter half of the 20th century in Camden, but PATCO was able to maintain service levels. The system added an infill station in 1980, the year the second railcar fleet was delivered, and the line received a regional rail connection in the first part of the 21st century by way of NJT's River Line light rail. That system was initially planned as a PATCO extension along a right-of-way initially studied during the early development stage of this line. There's a growing level of residential density on this line as you go. Park and ride lots have always been the designed application of how commuters take this line, allowing riders to avoid paying tolls to exit New Jersey. And, like we're doing today, it will deliver us right into Center City, Philadelphia, without traffic or having to make an additional connection to 30th Street Station had we taken the Atlantic City line all the way to Philly. It's a more pleasant ride and cleaner than SEPTA's rail services, but its usefulness is much more limited. The sprawling rapid transit and trolley lines that emanate from downtown Philly, as well as connections to regional rail and Amtrak, have PATCO beat in terms of the frequency of places you can go. Aside from the cheaper fare into Center City coming to or from Atlantic City, there's not much reason a tourist would need to take a ride on PATCO from the attractions of Center City, unless you're like me and just like riding public transit. Camden, New Jersey is much like Cleveland in that the heavy industry of its past has gone away, stunting the growth of South Jersey's once urban hub. What's also declined here, according to statistics on Wikipedia, is what was once a high crime rate. Some redevelopment has taken place, but it's still too soon to call it a comeback. Camden and the state of New Jersey have explored expanding PATCO's reach. Development of new lines on the Jersey side was balked at for cost reasons, aside from the River Line, which I do hope to ride in the near future. Expansion of the line on the Philly side, though, continues to be set on an always distant horizon. When this line opened in 1936, it ran from 8th and Market in Philly, the station we're bound to alight at, to downtown Camden via the subway after the bridge it still utilizes today. Expansion west through Center City in Philly was hampered by the Great Depression and World War II, finally opening under Locust Street to 16th Street in Philly by 1953. The line was then being operated by the Philadelphia Transportation Corporation. It saw low ridership due to only being a link between the two cities' downtowns. Over the next 2 decades, the line was reorganized into the Port Authority Transit Corporation, or PATCO. 3 studied lines were considered to expand the line east from the bridge through downtown Camden. Ultimately, this particular alignment was chosen to operate as a suburban feeder service from Lindenwold over alternates that would have run northeast through Camden to Moorestown or southwest to Woodbury Heights, feeding under the Delaware River to South Philly via a tunnel. Cost was the determining factor in this alignment's approval. Existing rail rights-of-way and the connection to the existing bridge line to Philly were seen as the most likely revenue drivers for the service. While the service opened well into the decline of Camden's industrial sector, the need for South Jersey residents to connect to points along the East Coast kept it a relevant choice over the years. The modernization of the fleet into present day has built upon PATCO's several features that were innovative at the time, but are now considered standards for modern public transit. The PATCO Freedom Fare Card system, now a contactless tap card or paper ticket payable by cash or card, began as a magnetically encoded fare card that required dollar bills to be changed to coins to ride. Automatic train operation was hampered by systemic flaws caused by inclement weather until recent upgrades restored its usability, albeit with an actual train operator being present to ensure safe operation. There's the possibility that the western end of the line may one day be extended to the trolley portal west of Center City, Philly. That would require a new tunnel be built under the Schuylkill River at a fairly steep cost. If the suburbs outside Philly on the New Jersey side remain a desirable place for locals to consider living, PATCO will likely have a reason to consider this expansion. Proximity to the Northeast Corridor cities, as well as the beaches of South Jersey, continue to keep the line poised to remain relevant in coming years. The region is limited in its capability to build out roads and highways, but has quite a few extant rail lines to work with for future transit needs. Our needs at this point in the trip are simply Wawa foodstuffs. These new beef tacos are just what you'd expect from a homemade taco night. They're not going to beat out the hoagies, but it was an interesting swap for one lunch. With our PATCO connection over, we spent a day riding SEPTA's trolley lines before catching a Northeast Regional train to New York on the following day. From there, it's on to the Lakeshore Limited back to Chicago to end this brief trip out east. Subscribe and please give this video a like if you want to see my glimpses of other systems and transit lines in the future. Thanks for coming with me today on PATCO. I'll see you on the next video.
We walk by the track where it's going to be boarding. They ask if I'm in the sleeper. I'm like, no. I go down here to the TikTok place.